5D New Earth is here now. You hold the codes to manifest and experience 5D New Earth at any given moment. However, we encounter blockages or resistance that prevent us from doing that. In this video, I'm going to give you a visual representation to help you better understand how that process works, why we feel like it's so difficult at times to resonate to a fifth dimensional new earth frequency, and how we can better work within ourselves to allow those frequencies to more easily flow and allow new earth to simply appear right before our eyes. When we think about it, we dropped into this physical universe, this universe of things, of solidity, universe of just being physical, right? We were born into this. Our light, divine light, slowed way down so that we could perceive things, so that we could perceive our avatar, our physical body, so that we could have experiences through separation. But we forget that everything is energy, and it's just simply vibrating at a lower frequency. Well, that lower frequency is really akin to, say, like a rocket, right? When we look at a rocket trying to blast off or get off the ground, it's very, very heavy. It's just tied or anchored to the gravity of the planet. And it takes an extreme amount of energy initially to get that rocket off the ground, to get it out of the Earth's atmosphere, away from the Earth's gravity, and into space. That is a physical universe. What happens is the solidity of that rocket is just so dense, it's so heavy, that an enormous amount of energy is required to get it moving. We are in a universe of motion. And as that rocket takes off, it has to overcome gravity, has to overcome drag, it has to overcome air resistance and friction, all sorts of physical forces. Well, that's just a function or the product of this universe. It's no different than you, and it's no different than me. We land here, we become programmed. And the more we identify as human, the more we attach to this physical reality, the slower we tend to vibrate. Our frequency drops, we vibrate slower, and our energy flow slows down. Now, we could get stuck for years or decades at a lower frequency, and something magical happens at some point in time. Our frequency starts to shift, and our vibration starts to move faster. We start to vibrate faster. Our molecules, our atoms start to move at a faster pace. Now, that is a sign that your higher self is dropping in. Higher frequency energy is coming in. However, initially, it encounters resistance, just like that rocket did as it took off. All the fuel, all the energy that had to move into that, think of that fuel and that energy as your higher self, trying to get this big, heavy, solid, physical, slow vibrating, dense piece of steel, metal, aluminum, all these different things, right? Off the launch pad, up through the atmosphere, and into space. That's what's happening within our body. Our higher self starts to come through, and it starts to go to work on all of that dense stuff, all the dense trauma, all the dense stuck energy within our body. And when this process initially unfolds or starts to happen to you, it's at the very early stage. You are at your heaviest, energetically speaking. It's like getting you in liftoff mode right off the ground. And that's where the most energy is required. Now, as you turn inward and dive in and start to make a conscious choice and make a conscious effort to dive into the density, to feel it, to start to heal your traumas, to start to alchemize that dense energy, your frequency starts to rise. And as that happens, now your higher self encounters less resistance. Okay, we think about resistance as having things in our mind that want to prevent us from doing certain things or moving forward or feeling certain things, right? Well, that's a function of the energy of the higher self encountering that density within the body. That creates resistance, and that reflects out for us to experience. That's the guide inward. So we know what to feel, so we know what to be present with and what we need to alchemize. the more we take a conscious role in that process, the faster we could heal the density, the faster we could start changing its frequency. We can alchemize it, we can transmute it. It starts to rise in frequency, and that creates an environment within your body of less resistance, just like the rocket as it starts going up through the Earth's atmosphere. It's encountering a lot of drag, a lot of resistance, a lot of friction as the atmosphere starts to thin out as it gets into space. It's going to require less energy because there's less drag, there's less resistance. You lose that negative force of the atmosphere against that rocket as it's moving upward. And as it gets into space, there's even less. So it requires less energy to continue it on its journey, right? But initially, when we're going through the healing process, there is a lot of energy that's required. And it makes us feel, can make us feel like we're suffering, really, right? Because all of this density, all of these blockages that your higher self is showing you, that's being reflected out. And that can make us identify with it, right? We need to feel this stuff, and we tend to identify as it. When we could bring it back to the body, when we could sit and hold and create space for it, that's more space than that the higher self, higher frequency light can move in to the body. And that raises your vibration, your frequency increases in your body. And as that happens, your energy starts to flow more freely with less resistance, just like the rocket as it leaves the Earth's atmosphere. Physically, you will start to change. You will start to shift. You will have a much easier time getting back into the flow state when you're knocked out, when you encounter some resistance, when the deeper layers start to come up to be experienced, to be felt. You're going to be able to better get in an aligned flow state. And that's going to help to speed up the energy movement through your body, much like an airplane wing changing pressure based on its angle of attack. The airplane starts to lift off because of the pressure differentials. That's what happens within your body. And it gets easier and easier because your energy is flowing and encountering less resistance, just like that rocket, again, leaving the Earth's atmosphere. So as we go along our journey, we're still going to hit these little speed bumps, these air pockets, these little resistance moments, and that's okay. But because your higher self has moved in to more of the deeper recesses of your body, and that stuck energy has been released and everything's vibrating at a higher state, again, this is an energy of motion, you're going to be able to attract more of your higher self. More high frequency light is going to move through you and further transform your physical vessel. It's going to further lift you up on that frequency bandwidth. And you gain momentum. The more awareness you bring to the process, the more momentum you gain, and things kind of start to happen faster and faster and faster until you've had that circuitry built that you find that that's a new way of being for you. And it just really happens on autopilot. That's because you have reprogrammed the subconscious mind from these dense physical beliefs, limiting beliefs, into a new way of being, a way of being a multidimensional energetic being more in tune with the subtle energies within your body, being able to bring awareness into what's happening with those energies within your body, creating and holding that space and allowing more of your higher frequency light to land. Remember the law of vibration. So as our physical vessel rises in frequency, as we go through the healing work, more of your high frequency multidimensional light can land. It's going to be attracted right in. But initially, know that you're that rocket sitting on the ground needing a ton of energy, so much energy to just get you lifted off the pad. And as you start to rise, you're going to encounter that friction. You're going to encounter that drag. And that's when it's so important to sit and be present with all the emotions that are coming up, that is being felt. Okay. Because what that does is it allows you to stabilize yourself, stabilize that rocket so that it can make the smoothest, as little friction as possible path up along the ascension path. Okay. So bring awareness to that, facilitate that process, and you're going to notice that as you continue to ascend, just like that rocket, you're going to encounter less resistance. You're going to encounter less friction. Your frequency is going to rise. And the new earth codes that we've all been receiving for a long time now are going to start to actually manifest, because you're going to rise right up into those frequencies that will allow you to perceive them, just like that rocket leaving the old and entering the new. If you guys have not downloaded my heart chakra meditation, definitely do so. There's a link in the description. Share this video if it resonated with you. Subscribe to my channel and hit that like button. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.